There she is.
Yeah.
Hey there.
I can only see. Okay, there's Ed. I don't
Whoever's
see Frank.
talking.
Oh, is that how it works?
Well, you can go to the top right of your screen. You can pick gallery view.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
give us on,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we all three should be now. Now, where are we in relation to? Because right now you are there to me.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Where are you? I'm Frank. You're here to me.
You're there to me. This is
Yeah,
the best
but
part.
are you guys mirrored though? So doesn't that make it opposite?
Yeah. Well, we do that a lot. Where like we figure we know where the guy is, and then we'll point the opposite.
That's part of this is when it's all said and done is we're all pointing in the wrong direction. So.
Well, for me, Ed, you're sort of top left, and Frankie, you're bottom center.
Oh, Frank's below. Okay, yeah.
Below, so Amy's there. Right? Is that right?
I think it's that one. I think that's correct.
Oh, 8 that way. Are you this way, Amy?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
An angle.
Yep.
But that's from your perspective. What finally gets recorded, we don't know.
So how do you
This
guys
is being recorded?
How do you guys record it? You'd think I'd know this, but I don't.
Well, no, this is amazing. It's a perfect question to ask. There's whoever starts the Zoom thing has a controlling aspect, and they can record it and do all kinds of stuff while they're doing it.
Oh, interesting.
They can put their own computer screens up, so you get analytics, or if we were looking at a mixing graph or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, should we start this? Because we're recording.
I think we've started.
I think we've started. Well, we were talking about recording, so let's introduce today's.
Hey, wait, I don't have a Morning Buzz mug. I have Morning Buzz coffee, but
Have
not
you
a
not
Morning Buzz mug.
Oh, well, what's the mug? It's all about the mug. What do you got there?
Just one more thing. Johnny Cash.
Hey!
No, it's Peter Falk, Columbo.
Oh, Peter Falk.
Columbo, yeah.
Columbo.
I would remember that.
I think of Peter Falk more as the Princess Bride, the grandpa.
Oh, of course.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Even though I love Columbo, his memory to me now is burned as that character from the Princess
Of course,
Bride.
and such a great character.
We're going to get into all that stuff a little later, but let's introduce this. So welcome to Coffee Hang, folks. It's 7 p.m. It's Friday night, and we have Amy King with us. She's first of all, she's a great friend, but she has been for almost 20 years the engineer at Grant Avenue Studios in Hamilton, the legendary Grant Avenue Studios in Hamilton. It's been around for some 40 plus years now.
44.
44 years.
Yeah.
Not quite as old as I am, but that's almost 44 years. Anyways, Amy King, but she's not only an engineer, she's also a fantastic songwriter, singer, musician on every instrument. I've seen her play drums, piano, guitar, banjo, dobro, cello, dehydrated deer toes. Deer toes.
Who hasn't?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, there they are.
That's got some.
Nice. Oh. Well, who doesn't have dehydrated deer toes? I mean, come on, Frankie.
I don't. I have all kinds of other stuff back here, but I got violin bows.
I think that's what you're talking about. No?
That's it. Absolutely.
More of that. Yeah.
So guys, tell me where I'm looking at. So Ed, where are you? Are you in a basement studio in your house?
Yes.
Okay.
This is where the little hole here I got here is our track and drums for your tune. I moved my rig from the studio to here.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's tight. I was saying to you via email, it's a bit tight to get some, say, room mic vibe going on, but it's quite contained. Like the sound is, pretty contained in there. So I'm pretty happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where are you then, Frankie?
I am in my office, which I've now converted into my little studio. You can see, hang on. There's all electronics.
Pedalboard fills up the whole room, dude.
Yeah.
It pretty much, yeah. It's like, and I've added this. There's a Boss MS3 added to that there, Amy. Just for those touring days when I want to fly.
Yeah. Hey, how are you liking the blue Gillard?
I do like it. It's great for certain things, and other things it's not great for. When I'm up above the 12th fret, I don't like it. But it's as a guitar that I'm playing rhythm tracking. I love the tone of it, and it's like just under 5 pounds.
And what a beautiful.
Now I'm looking at the Frederick, the burgundy one he's got in there. So.
Oh, are you really? Nice.
Do you have one in there now, Frank? In your
Frederick?
No. A Gillard.
1 second.
You might as well show us here what we're us non-guitar folk.
So, oh yeah, okay.
What we're talking about here.
Had drummers and bass players. And
We've had a lot of drummers. A lot of drums.
This is a Gillard.
That's a beauty.
See the fan frets
Jeez.
and how they come up here.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that are fantastic about it, but that kind of lick for me, I fall to the, fall back fret, so it gets minor as opposed to major. But this is it's beautifully built, Hamilton builder, J. Gillard, and I love the guitar. It's a great, sort of Gretschy pickup here on the neck. Kind of gives me I can go Stratty or Telly depending on what I do with the tone. So it's a really fantastic guitar. Feels great playing. So that's it. That's from Birchway Sound across the road from Amy.
Do you find at all, Frank, like any type of mental rewiring of your brain with the fan fret, or does it happen naturally?
Everything down here, again, beyond the 12th fret, if I'm just doing, it's fine. If I have to do certain where I'm expecting a fret to be somewhere, it becomes my muscle memory will default and I'll hit the flat 3 instead of the major 3rd.
Jazz.
Something like that.
That's it.
It's just bad. Not jazz bad. It'd be
That's
like
funny.
what you would be doing, Amy, would be stopping the tape. Can we do that again? Is what you would be saying.
Yeah, right.
So as
That's
we're touching on, so we have Amy as we introduced her, because this intro's taken a long time.
Sorry.
She's a musician. She's also she makes us do things over and over again in the studio because it makes it sound better that way. So anyways, Amy, have you tried our coffee?
I am trying it. I have tried it once before. I'm right now currently drinking Sting,
Nice.
which is lovely. Yeah, but I haven't tried your other roasts just yet. But I'm digging Sting, I gotta say.
I think you might have tried some of our coffee when we were in recording with you.
Wasn't that Sting?
Or was that
could have been? I'm pretty sure
that
we brought
Wayland?
some into the studio.
It was Wayland. Yeah, it was Wayland.
Wayland's coffee?
Oh, it was Wayland's coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't mention them now anymore.
Yeah.
We do. We love Wayland.
I'll actually admit to this. So our lovely mutual friend Ed Sculthorpe, not Mortensen, has had your coffee for quite some time. So I've actually been known to eat the beans. I like it much. So they're quite good. Yeah.
They are good.
Okay, would you prefer chocolate covered or caramel covered?
No caramel. Ew, that's from the devil.
Chocolate?
Oh, I have to leave now.
Are you a caramel fan?
I love
Nope.
I love both chocolate and caramel combined together. And then add peanut butter to it, and we have
Peanut butter, yeah.
we have-
Next
we
thing
have
you're
a-
gonna
we have
tell me.
affinity.
What about toffee? Are you a
Oh
toffee guy?
no, that's definitely devil.
That's bad.
That's
bad.
devil toffee. Yeah, I do. No.
I'm gonna keep quiet now.
Oh, yeah. So
All
I was
my
on the way to a
focus
gig.
are out.
I was on the way to a gig last winter with a bass player that we all know from Hamilton area, a girl, and she bit in. She bought toffee, and I love toffee so much. One bite in, her tooth came out.
Oh,
That
no.
is why you don't eat toffee. That's the number one reason.
That's right. Yeah, you've had Sting though through Ed and Ed Mortensen here from Mornin Buzz Coffee. His wife, wherever Ed is, his wife has in the early days. She's like, try this, and it was a chocolate covered and a caramel covered Sting bean, and it was.
Yeah,
We
but
have
it's soft
that's
caramel
fun
though, too.
coming down the road when we get into candy.
Yeah,
I'll take all of the chocolate covered anything that you guys have. So
done.
Very good. And we do have, I'm drinking, just while we're on the topic, I'm drinking our lightheaded. So our light my morning coffee.
how many are there?
There are 4 roasts right now, and we are working on an espresso roast currently. So there's 5. And it may be 2 espresso roasts. We have all kinds of little secrets coming out. So it might be 7.
Nice.
6. Who knows? 6. That's 6.
Hey.
That's 7.
They just keep coming out.
They just
That's
keep
great.
coming up. But yes, we have lightheaded, the light roast. We have Queen Bee, medium roast. We have Sting as our dark roast, and we have Buzzkill as our decaf.
Mhm.
Ugh,
Oh, you know what?
Which part?
It's a
the decaf.
The decaf, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the decaf part you don't like, but the flavor of this decaf, like
Is it good?
I think, I have this, I just can't have a certain amount of coffee after a certain amount of time, and this tastes like Sting without the caffeine.
Oh,
You
nice.
know there's going to be some hilarious link below you for just saying that, right? Like too much caffeine, too close to bed.
It's my heart. My heart will stop.
You know there's going to be something right about here. Ding, 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 ding.
To me, it's like food that doesn't have gluten clearly needs gluten. Alcohol that doesn't, or booze that doesn't have alcohol needs alcohol.
Yes.
Coffee needs caffeine.
Right.
Oh, of course, yes. It's like buying crack without the cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
What would you get? Just the ack?
Just Coca-Cola. You just have Coca-Cola.
So I have a question for you guys then. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Is it okay? I suppose, yes. Sure. Go ahead, Amy.
How on earth did you guys do this? Like get into this whole thing?
Well,
clearly she hasn't read our About Us.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I'm,
it's okay.
No,
that's fine. You're busy. You're a busy woman, busy being in the studio all the time. So, Ed, you start, and then I'll carry over.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going back probably 2 years or more now, and we were on the road with one of the tribute bands that we played for, Country Legends, and we were in the bus and like doing shows where, like most other touring musicians, where there's literally just enough time to go from the last gig to the next gig and rolling in, and you're rolling out of the hotel at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. sometimes, right? And you're having to deal with that kind of coffee situation. And Frank and I are huge. We've always, like, I've been coffee lover for 20 years. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Same with Frank. And we've drank good coffee, right? At home or searched out good coffee. So then to have to like do this and get, have to drink all this kind of what we call bean water. It's like tea, just garbage, hotel morning coffee or truck stop coffee. We realized that we needed to bring our own coffee on the road, and nobody else in the bus drank coffee like we did, even including the one guy that was a roaster.
Yeah.
Really?
He drank more coffee than the roaster guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, we realized we needed to bring something with us. So we first got just a case made up. Little Frank, hold it up.
It looks like this.
Looks
nice.
like that. It's in my garage, but it looks identical. In fact, I think the stickers are the same.
It's exactly.
And it had a grinder. It has still a grinder, a kettle, mason jar full of beans, a couple travel mugs, a stirring device, all this stuff, just everything we need for this kit. So the funniest story, and then I'm going to pass it off to Frank, but we're now trying to make coffee in the bus. And we love the idea that we have this with us. But how can we make it as we're rolling down the highway? Because remember, nobody in that bus drinks coffee. So nobody wants to stop. Not even if we see Starbucks go by or anything, nobody will stop for us. So we decide that we're going to try to start brewing coffee while going 120 kilometers down the road. So Elton Lammy brings his generator on the bus. This little, like not a gas powered, but a plug in the wall, charge it up.
Oh, okay.
Battery pack type thing. So here we are. Frank's got like the French press full of grounds and a boiling kettle full of water. And
I think we were in Michigan.
And we were in Michigan.
The roads in Michigan are pretty bad, so it was
you're
kind of bouncing around.
That happened once, and then it turned into the coffee kit that basically Frank made us coffee every single sound check.
Because I'm a guitar player, and despite the size of my pedal board, I'm still set up before Ed is set up. So
I believe it.
So it's and that's the truth of most drummers. They have they're there first, and usually they're out of their last. So, but yeah, so my job is now
again, a little louder, a little clearer. You speak into the microphone.
No. And they have the heaviest stuff to carry, though my pedal board is about your trap case weight, size and weight almost. But yeah, so it became either hotel room or a dressing room coffee. I would go in there, and a lot of dressing rooms had some great coffee, but not as good as what we were finding from different small batch roasters. So one day on the bus, as we're discussing where we want to source our coffee again, we kind of just said we should open up a coffee shop. That was the first thing, and we went Bing, or wherever you are, Bing, props. And we actually did look at some brick and mortar places, thinking coffee shop before.
Really?
Company.
Well,
Wow.
initially we were called Wake and Bake.
Yeah.
And we wanted a coffee shop that had the Wake the coffee and the like organic, freshly homemade baked goods.
Yeah.
Wake and Bake. That was
Nothing
what we were
to do with it.
initially called.
I like it.
And then we had a little pause in talking about it through Christmas, and then I think end of January, Ed says, Google Wake and Bake Coffee. And there was these THC infused coffee beans with a company called Wake and Bake Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And they had swag, which was like a mug that was also a bong. So
the bowl bowl came out the front of the cup, right? The mouthpiece was on the handle. And then you could drink your coffee. So by that time, how do you compete with somebody that we had already had trademark stuff for Wake and Bake?
Yeah.
But I mean, we weren't federal.
We held domains.
Or held domains.
Yeah.
So I mean, but how do you compete with a company that's got the cup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Done. We were done.
So
I think Morning Buzz is great.
Yeah. So then Mornin Buzz that became morphed from Wake and Bake to Mornin Buzz to Buzz the bee, because bees buzz.
Mm-hmm.
That's no real other reason why we have Beatrice, but she's now become our mascot. And we, in our mission statement, we do promote pollinator gardens because they are important to and to all our food supply. Which brings us to the story about the killer murdering hornets that are in the West Coast, killing honeybees. Anyways, we'll leave them over there for now. Hopefully, they didn't winter. So that's pretty much where Mornin Buzz started, and then we just spent the last year. We started at a coffee trade show just a year ago, almost to the date. It was May 4th last year, and we met who would be our future roaster there, and worked with him over and over on bag design, on all the different flavor profile, trying different flavor profiles, learning about coffee in real depth, and then came up with the concept that we have, the 4 roasts that we have now. The design. Great. Christy Ryder, a local Hamilton girl, she's the one that did our design.
Nice.
Done our roast logos, everything with us. So she's been fantastic. And now we have, and we're up and running. It was fun.
That's awesome. That's so great.
It's been a month. It's been longer than a year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the last year is what, like when we went to that trade show, we already kind of knew who we were.
Mm-hmm.
We knew who we were as a company and who we wanted to be. We were just sussing out all the other aspects of it to bring it all together. And we found those there at the Toronto Coffee and Tea Expo. I mean, we really found the golden ticket, I think. They've helped huge into mentorship and, I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. But I mean, prior to that is what I'm saying, probably a good year that we were developing the idea. Just the name changed halfway through that year.
Yeah.
So, it's not something that there's 2 things to get into the coffee business. 3 actually. You need time, knowledge, and most important, capital.
Yeah.
That's you need the time to do the research, to understand the industry that you're in, understanding that product. How it's, what can manipulate it, what can change it, what can affect it, all that stuff. Understand the product, and then understanding business. We took a ton of classes at, and when I say classes, I mean intense, like involved classes at the Hamilton Business Center, which, oh man, hands down, those guys.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of prep, a lot of work. Oh man.
Well, congratulations to you guys. I think it's great.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Amy. So,
and this is, hey, wait. We're interviewing you. Come on here.
The art of deflection.
I got a question for you.
There you go.
The art of deflection. Yeah, exactly. Get your martial arts on me.
Good.
Well, how have you been affected? I know obviously the studio, and actually I don't know. How has the studio been affected too? I mean, I know that you can't do business because of the close contacts, but I mean, the studio, sometimes you could be more than 6 feet away. How's it affected you?
We're deemed non-essential, which it was a tough pill to swallow for us because, I mean, you guys know, you're in the music business. It's already tough enough to, cover your overhead costs and get through. So we actually haven't had a session with people in the building since, I think it was March 14th or March 15th. Right. So we were really quite worried at first. because we don't qualify for any of the small business aid that the government has been offering either, because we're actually too small. I didn't even know that that could be a thing. But what we're doing is I'm working on a project for a local punk guy. Do you guys know Chris Houston?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So he's been working on a lot of stuff in the last couple of years. So doing a lot of editing for him, and I just sent off like 18 mixes of one of his tunes just yesterday. So it's guys like that who are kind of saving the day right now. We're hoping, you know, I know that it's kind of selfish to think this way, but we're hoping that it all ends soon so we can hopefully weather the storm financially and then get back up and running, because there's only, you know, so much funds to cover the overhead for a place like this. And the city of Hamilton is wonderful, but it's a really expensive place to have a small business in terms of business taxes and property taxes and that kind of thing. So it's not been easy, but at the same time, we've been able to catch up on some maintenance of some of the analog equipment, which is great. But yeah, we're just trying to kind of take it in stride and hope that when things do open, that artists can afford to record again. I mean, it's we're on that end of things, but our business is based on people who are now really struggling because they have zero work for the most part, and a lot of them don't qualify for emergency help either. So it's tough. It's a really scary time. So
it is like even thinking forward, that say in 2 months they say, okay, well, gatherings of 10 and less you have, that means that the studio opens up. But instead, will those songwriters and writers have the funds? You know,
who knows? We literally had a blocked calendar for a couple of records to be started and finished between March and May. So that's 2 months of time that's completely gone, and I don't suspect that those people will be able to kind of reconvene until, I hate to say next year, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. So who knows?
Yeah, that's Ed and I, our calendar, everything right now, I think up to and even going into September has just been pushed to 2021. They've just rescheduled to 2021. And that's all they're doing. They're not even thinking of, you know, I mean, all the major festivals have announced that they're not operating this year up to end of August anyways. But Chris, but a note on Chris Houston, is it new material from Chris? Or is it you don't have, like, there's no remix of Einstein's Brains in Hamilton?
No, actually, it's
true story. There's a piece of Einstein's Brain at McMaster University.
That's right.
Yeah, so he wrote a song about it.
Yeah, it's done.
You would tell what would you tell the border guard that you're bringing into the country?
Yeah, right.
Brain.
I think that's probably his best known song. But this stuff that he's working on now, he's got Michael Fonfara on it, Basil Donovan, like some pretty heavy hitter guys. So it's been a real treat, because we started working on it last November and having sessions up till March. So that's been great, getting to work with some people that I generally wouldn't have the opportunity to work with, and the project's going really, really well. So it's great. And we work really well together, and he gets a kick out of, you know, walking down here at the end of a day and just picking a disc up out of the mailbox of what I've done and kind of waving from the window. And it's a nice little, it's nice. It's weird. It's kind of eerie, but we're making it work. So
it is different. Just on that note, the other day I was driving by doing some deliveries, driving by the airport at about 5:30 p.m. and there was not a single plane landing or taking off from Pearson.
Straight.
That's very weird on a Monday. You know, these are so very strange times. Yeah.
It is. Well, I mean, you guys know that I'm originally from Newfoundland, and they've just pretty much announced that the whole island is now gone into isolation. They've stopped any out of province travel there, just because of the fact that numbers started to increase. So that's really scary. You know, my parents, even if they wanted to visit, they couldn't visit, and I couldn't go home if I wanted to. So scary.
What I was saying about all these places that want to reopen. It's like. Mm-hmm. Did I miss some information here? Like, did we all of a sudden, was there a vaccination happen? Like, you know, did I miss something? Because that's what's going to happen, I think. I mean, I get it. The economy, I don't want to play either side of the fence on this, but the economy's got to get back up and rock, and I get that. But I didn't think that we were out of the woods yet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The economy will have to. I mean, the moment we are actually safely let to go, I mean, we're going to need all those things. We're going to want entertainment again. We're going to want to go out. We're going to need food. Well, we already have food, but we're going to need things. You're going to need haircuts, clothes, all kinds of stuff. So the economy will boom. I mean, yes, will certain companies suffer? I don't know. I've been wearing this toque for the last 6 weeks. I don't even want to know what it looks like. It's just
actually, I was going to thank you guys for doing this today because I'm having a great hair day, and I can
You
see
are.
Ed, you are too. So so thanks for that. That's great.
We were the same. We were thinking alike here.
Yeah.
We were same page. Same page. I mean, I curled I made sure that the light was shining the right way.
You have a halo
right there.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Lighting department going on.
Right there.
Yeah.
See that? I'm on
so
fire,
Frank,
baby.
that's something that I was going to actually discuss a little bit, and you just kind of touched on it, is, you guys know firsthand that when something like this happens or there's a tragedy, musicians and artists are always kind of the first people to help out, to volunteer time, to go play the tribute shows, to go play fundraisers and whatnot. And I hope that, when life kind of gets back to whatever normal is, that people will remember how music and the arts really got them through this, the past 2 months for sure. So, getting out there and watching our friends live broadcast and paying for their little live concerts is really important. So I hope that, have you guys been checking out anybody's feeds lately?
Yeah, I catch Whitehorse on their Friday matinee one.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I catch. It happens to coincide just before we do our coffee hang at 7 p.m. So I'm just kind of on my phone, and it's like, oh, this is popping in. Christopher Claus has some great stuff going on. Has some local people.
And will we be seeing a Frank and Kim Corrin live broadcast anytime soon?
It's one of those things. It was serendipitous because our launch coincided with pretty much being locked down, which meant Ed and I, our music work came to a screeching halt. Mm-hmm. That being said, it allowed us the time to concentrate on the coffee business, which has taken up 14 hours of each of our days. So so there hasn't been a lot of time. And Kim's been busy working. She's at Fortino, so she is deemed essential. Essential,
yeah.
Got full-time plus hours. So, and we're just when we're both at home and have some time, it's in the garden or a barbecue in the back. It's really at this time we don't feel like doing the music thing.
Yeah, I got you. I get it.
When it happens, it'll happen at the right time. I don't want to force it, that kind of stuff. But even on the point you were saying, even people that are watching Netflix or Prime or Disney, hold on. There's writers, musicians, everything that's involved in that.
Slow down your tracks here. You guys are talking about nobody mentioned anything about my live drum solo, like Instagram live drum solo at Wednesday at 6 p.m. I'm just to let everybody know.
That was for GroovePad, wasn't it?
You were going to mention that. Were you not going to mention anything about that?
GroovePad?
Live show? No.
Your live show. When
my Instagram live show?
I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
Which one? What time? The 3 a.m.
Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Every Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And then I'm going to do it again at 6:30 and at 7 and then 7:30 every Wednesday. So mark that down.
Okay. Is that the GroovePad one?
No, this is my own drum solo. It's just going to be drum solo for 25 minutes live.
Really?
Adding to the Instagram. No, not really. Not really at all. I can't. Come on.
I don't remember.
I am so gullible. I'm writing this all down.
I remember every time any singer looks at you and they're going drum solo, and you're like, "No, I'm just going to."
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, everyone's talking about all the Instagram live thing, and I'm thinking all the artists, that's good that they're doing, but all the side guys, what about that?
Yeah.
So it's like, what do the side guys do? Do they do their own Instagram live thing? And I thought about that as, in a hilarious way, like for me to just play drums on a live camera that can't pick up any of the audio.
You should.
Literally one snare drum shot and would just be like, cat, pop, bo, bo, bo.
All the compression.
I'm like,
you should
want to watch that.
I would watch that. You should do it, Ed.
Well, I told you, Wednesdays at 6, 6:30, 7.
Just his video and his audio and his audio and video doesn't work very well though, so that's why you might not get it.
I just didn't want you to have to go into the next segment, Frank, before I had to throw that in there. So
that's funny. No. But I mean, as you would understand, like I looked into in the early days, I was trying to, because there was a show we were going to be doing at a show I was going to be involved in from Massey Hall that got canceled, or not Massey Hall, but Roy Thompson got canceled. So I thought, could we do that show live? And I did a test on Zoom. Latency is horrible when you start putting music and you just drowned out each other and time skews. So there hasn't. I think everyone would have to be using the exact same audio interface, the exact same like space on each computer would have, and even then, if it was the best system that everybody had the same thing, there would still be some latency. They haven't perfected a live feed like this to do.
But just look at how we're talking, and it's like, you know, if I say him, ha, whatever, I cut you off.
Yeah.
Your audio gets cut off. So what a nightmare for instruments, you know.
Well, if some engineer figures out how to do it, they can make a big patent on that and hint.
Yeah, I'm more the analog side of things. So
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's why everyone has to be in the same room to do it. So
yeah,
that's what we're all hoping to get. You know, we're self-isolating so that we can do that again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Outside of music, Amy, I know you have a whole bunch of other passions outside of music. What is it that you get involved in or do, or
Oh boy. Well, I really like hiking with my big giant dog. You guys both know studio dog Windsor.
Yes, is Windsor there?
Yeah, he's sleeping. He's out on the floor having a good nap right now.
Yeah.
Well,
we did a session there, and he basically slept in the live room while we were tracking.
He loves it. Absolutely loves it.
And the dog is as big as a Cadillac.
He's like a horse. He's a horse dog. Yeah. He's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we hike a lot every day. We do many miles in the woods. I like, this is going to sound weird, but I'm a big rock and fossil hunter. So I love that kind of thing. And this area of Ontario is actually amazing for that kind of stuff. In terms of being involved in associations, I do a lot of just self-charity work for the homeless population in the city. Always been kind of passionate about that especially with my mom and dad. When they do visit, they like to help out with some donated stuff, and it's been good. Yeah, a little bit of work for Instrument for Every Child and Big Brothers Big Sisters, that kind of thing. But mostly when I'm not here, I'm in the forest somewhere with my giant horse dog.
Exactly. Yeah. You like the isolation of, the quiet time. It's probably the quiet.
Yeah. Well, I'm just all day, I'm listening to music for the most part. So when I go home at night, I generally don't listen to much. I like the quiet, I love being outdoors. I'd be outdoors every minute of the day if I could, but I don't think that's a good environment for a studio because you'd get too much noise. So yeah.
And moisture.
Yeah, and moisture. Yeah,
that won't be good for the gear. No.
Moisture and yeah.
But I've often thought about that. Like ultimately, when I started working here in 2002, which just seems so crazy to me, my goal was to get about 6 or 7 months of experience and then move back home and start my own place. And then that didn't happen, obviously. But I often thought, would I get work done having a studio like on the ocean, or would I just be so distracted all day that I would just be outside? It would be a very inspiring creatively, but at the same time, I think it might be also very distracting. So who knows?
I think you should do that.
We
should do that because that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It does sound.
There was, I can't think of his name now. Salt Spring Island. He popped in to visit Danny.
Gary Manx?
He was a tech for Burton Cummings, or not Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman. He was a guitar tech tour, redhead guy.
He lives on Salt Spring Islands as well?
He had a studio. He was working in a studio on Salt Spring Island, and he was showing pictures. And I went, I couldn't work there because it was
no
an ocean.
Well, that's where Randy lives too. So I wonder if it's just
he lives in Oakville now, I think, but he did live in Salt Spring Island forever. He still has a place out there, I think. But that's where he knows Randy from. Maybe he knows him from before. I just can't think of his name now. Yeah, I see the distraction. It's beautiful. It's like real world studios.
Yeah.
There's just the beauty of the studio would make you like, I don't want to play music now. I just want to enjoy.
No.
Yeah.
We can experiment. We can all try these different things and go and see.
Okay, let's do it. Just move your coffee business to the East Coast and then convince your wives and families to do it, and we'll all go.
My wife would leave tomorrow. Are you kidding me? That's sorted. That part's done.
Oh, that's funny.
Exactly.
Well, I got a question for you, madame.
Mm-hmm.
What are you watching? Are you watching anything when you go home or do you literally just shut down and just want to, like you said, you're lots of outdoorsy time going on?
Pretty much shut down. I did watch Ozark and Afterlife, which I really enjoyed Afterlife, but I've been sort of just completely disconnecting from technology for the most part. And maybe that's really dumb of me because, you know, you need to stay up to date on such events, but I don't want to see any more news. I don't want to see anybody's feeds with, you know, complaining about stuff or chewing other people out. It's just so negative right now in so many ways. So I just try to kind of shut down and hang out with the dog and go hiking and enjoy that kind of thing.
Well,
so
tell us about Afterlife, because every guest we've had so far has mentioned Ozark.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. Have you, Fred?
Neither have I. Nope.
So well, okay. So I won't go into Ozark. It was good. I don't know what happened to me in my 20s, but I kind of all of a sudden lost my stomach for any type of blood or gore on TV. And I used to love like the craziest, stupid horror movies, and then all of a sudden, like overnight, I can't take it anymore. I just can't take any more violence. So there were a couple times where I definitely had to look away. But the characters are great, and you know, it really sort of moves into pro-female kind of leading role stuff in season 3. And I've never been a big proponent for that or pushing that, but it's nice to see some really great acting, some great characters there. Afterlife, I've always loved Ricky. I think he has a great sense of humor, and I'd be lying if I didn't say it had something to do with the fact that he has a beautiful female German Shepherd dog that looks a lot like my dog in the show.
Well, who's Ricky? Is that the actor?
It's the main guy. So Ricky, I don't know how you actually pronounce his last name. Is it Gervais or Gervais?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So he started, you know, the Office, the non-American Office, and I just love his comedy. I always have. So
it's comedy.
It's.
Nice.
I would call it like dark, maybe like a dark comedy, dark humor.
Yeah. Afterlife.
It deals with, you know, loss of a loved one and cancer and suicide and addiction and all that stuff. So it.
Oh wow!
It's short though. It's really short. The episodes are extremely short, and there's only 6 episodes per season, so kind of whiz through that pretty quickly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. If you don't, next question I'm going to ask you is going to be your 3 records.
Oh boy.
You know?
Well, for the most part, I've listened to whatever I'm working on currently. So I've been listening to a lot of Chris Houston, like the same song, you know, because I'll take mixes home with me after work to listen on different systems and whatnot. Other than that, a band that I really like that I've been listening to a lot of is Punch Brothers. Do you guys know?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Jane turned us on to them, and I put it on. I was shocked. I had texted him back immediately. I'm like, what am I listening to right now? I'm confused, but I'm happy and I'm satisfied. Like it was so good.
I know. It's incredible. And so for me though, with those guys, I can't listen to it to relax because like you, Ed, like I kind of just sit there and go, what is this? And I'm dissecting it and trying to kind of piece it all together and think about what they're doing. And even just from an engineering standpoint, thinking about how they may have achieved some of the stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's a lady or a young woman named Melody Gardot. So she kind of takes me to the opposite end of things where I just put her on and it's just like, okay, this is nice and calm and beautiful and stress-free. And she just has a really unique and beautiful voice. So other than those 2 records though, for the most part, it's just whatever I'm editing or mixing currently is what I listen to. So.
Let me add an element to this. Let's say Desert Island. That's it. You got 3 records to pick. You're not going to pick any of your work records. Don't tell me that.
Well, what about
Frank? They have German Shepherds on the front cover.
That's right. My record. You're on it too, there.
Yeah. Oh boy. You know what? I think that my answer to that question would probably change every couple hours because it just all has to do with the moods you're in. And I grew up as a kid in the 90s basically is when I really started to get into music and dissect music. So I love Tool. Like I could listen to Tool, Danny Carey's drum playing all day long. Now mind you, if I took all albums of Tool to a desert island, I would not be happy after a few days, but it all has to do with that and Rage Against the Machine and Pearl Jam and stuff like that. But yet, Beatles, you can't forget about the Beatles and all the classics. So
hard. It's a tough question. It's not a fair.
It is.
But we asked it just to get an idea of, because we learned some things like that. Somebody knowing Amy King might not think Rage Against the Machine or Tool.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Tool, absolute favorite.
I know Amy King, any kind of long delay stuff, you know,
Yeah.
Coldplay, anything with a lot of delay on everything.
Yeah. And
Amy King.
I love Joni Mitchell. To me, is just she's demigod. Just the way that she has taken control of her entire career, and the guitar tunings that she doesn't even really know she's doing. I love that stuff. So yeah.
And I just this is going just because you've been associated with this Canadian legend. I watched on one of my flights. I watched the Gordon Lightfoot special.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize he was a drummer, and that he went to California, studying at Berkeley, and was like everything that he did before that. I knew he had, began his career, but everyone associates him with, his Canadian sort of folk song. And then I didn't realize how many people covered him.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh, it's
so
insane.
you've had the honor of working with him in the studio and recording him at his Massey Hall shows as well.
Yeah.
So
he's so all of the parts that you hear on his records, dating back to probably the first ones, he wrote them, all of them.
Yeah.
Like every drum hit, every hi-hat hit, everything. He's not only has he written it, but he's actually notated it as well. So the guy is I mean, whether or not you're a fan of Gord, he's an amazing talent. He's a great arranger. He's a fantastic composer. And you're right, Frank, like the number of people that have covered him is just it's insane. It's just immense. So.
I knew it was big, but that that documentary just, I went, wow, okay, because for me, he's that place, he's that Canadian icon, and I've only thought of him as that icon. I didn't know that he scored, like Frank Zappa would notate every little thing you're going to hear in the studio. That was the composer giving it to the drummer, giving it to the guitar player, saying, this is exactly what you're playing. It's not one of the, you don't have an option here.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think a lot of people wouldn't have the stomach to deal with that, like in terms of being one of his musicians, but you accept that this is what he wants and he's written it this way, and that's what you do. And I mean, you can't dispute that. He's done pretty okay for himself.
It's like if you work with McCartney and he says do this, or with Sting, you say, well, okay, yeah, sure, you've written a few hits. We'll take your advice.
Unless you were Vinnie Colaiuta, then he'd look at Sting and go, I'm not doing that. I'll do Vinnie.
He was like that with Zappa too. He's like, I'll play what I will. Like Vinnie's the exception to almost every rule out there. Yeah. There's not a lot of other people like that,
Yeah.
But that's Vinnie.
Yeah.
That's a whole other.
Have you, Frank, in your travels at all through here, have you stumbled in here anytime when he's been kicking around?
I came by the one time you guys were, I think, doing the mixes for the DVD.
Okay.
So it was one of those, like, he was there, and but I couldn't, I knew it was Gordon time, so I'm not gonna, I know I'm very welcome in the studio, but I realized with Gordon there, I'm not gonna make.
Yeah, he loves coming here, and one of the reasons he loves coming here, we let him smoke in the building, but other than that, it's he can just go and grab an ice cream from the corner store and nobody knows who he is. So there's a real anonymity to it, and he can just go about his day and just be creative. So he likes that. I mean, when you think about, he probably spends every hour, waking hour, inundated with people and business calls and whatnot. So I think to him, this is like a little bit of a quiet piece of heaven when he gets to hang out here. So
exactly. It's in a neighborhood that's a mixed neighborhood too, right? It's a great,
yeah.
So he can blend right in sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Pop over to the Tim Hortons, away you go,
That's right. Yeah.
That's pretty
but
funny.
It's stressful, like having him around. He's certainly past his prime, and he'd be the first to admit that, but it's still stressful because you got to be on top of your game. You got to have the foresight to think about what he's going to want to hear and do next, and do a good job for him. So it's stressful, but it keeps you on your toes. So
and is his EQ rack still there? It says Gordon Lightfoot EQ, do not touch.
We've moved that to the maintenance room upstairs.
Okay, very good. I know, but that was one of those, like,
you
can do a lot of things in Grand Avenue Studio.
Don't touch that.
Whatever you do, don't touch this thing. That's Gordon, so just leave it that way.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
We just finished his most recent album, and I think he's pretty convinced it's probably his last studio record. But I mean, the man he's relentless. He's he shouldn't be doing this, but he's still touring all the time. So he's quite upset that his, like you guys, like everything's canceled. So
Yeah.
He's basically sitting at home, and his life is on the road. He loves it. He thrives on it, and that's got to be really difficult for a guy like that whose whole life has been just traveling around.
Yeah. His teen years, he's been a musician on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be. I mean, another mutual friend, Harrison Kennedy, the same way. He's been on the road since the late '60s on the road, and then with a brief respite when he took a day job for a bit. But same thing. He's he was in France when that whole thing went down, and he was locked down in France until they got a flight back for him because he was on a tour there. So it is it's got to be tough on the. I mean, I've been touring for a long time, but I'm experienced also the anything from 2 or 3 weeks out to most 4 or 5 days out, come back home. 4 or 5 days out, back home. So you get to have
whatever level you're at. It doesn't matter if you're a side guy or a headlining artist. We identify with ourselves. That live aspect is part of our identity. So for me, Friday the 13th, March 13th, that was it. No longer that a part of my identity, but I didn't know that yet. So now I still wake up some mornings, like we all do, right? In a bit of a haze. Like this morning I laughed, I looked at Jill, I'm like, what day is it? Who am I? Who are you? Are you like, are we supposed to be in this house together? Like, just in a fog, and it's getting more and more. So I didn't realize that part that was missing from me was affecting me as much because we had the coffee thing, because I have 500 other things I could do in this house, from house repairs to my other passions to whatever. But there was still that part that was missing.
Of course.
It's affected me on a daily basis. Like we play to thousands or hundreds or dozens of people a night. Whatever. We're still playing to people.
And just the hang, though, the drive. I mean, with both parts of it. Sometimes the loneliness of the drive and the boredom of it, to the hilarity and the laughter. And we're always with Ed and with the sort of the crew that we tour with. It's relentless sometimes. Ripping each other apart. Just and it's on our toes as musicians. It's one of those. We take that and go onto the stage with that. That's because it becomes that same respect for each of our positions, and it makes for such a tight unit on stage as musicians, but relaxed. We're not stressed out about it, except when we do one show. But we won't have to talk about it.
As cliche as it is, I mean, you guys are like family to each other, and at a time like this when you're separated, it's not easy. So, and oftentimes people have better relationships with their road buddies and their road family than they do their own actual families. So
it is,
My wife is a high school teacher, and we were talking this morning how like part of their job right now is to go out and just connect with the students, connect with the families, and make sure everybody's okay up here. Like with your emotional well-being and all that. Do you have any tricks that you find to keep upstairs together, other than keeping do you I mean, going for hikes in the woods with Windsor is pretty awesome. That's it
is. Frankie and I have talked about this a little bit, but I gave up booze just over a year ago. So prior to that, I'd probably be a horrible mess right now, because I think a lot of people are turning to that to get them through, and that's tough. So the pros of getting that aspect out of one's life is endless. You can't even list them all. But the problem with it is it brings a lot of things to light, and you do have a bit more of a mental clarity to mental illness and some stress and anxiety. So this has been kind of a crazy time. But for me, it's obviously, like you said, Ed, going for hikes and forest bathing, as they call it. And for me, I've just been finding a lot of solace in the freedom to work on my own material. And just even if it never goes anywhere, just sort of getting some of those ideas out is a wonderful outlet, and it's great medicine. And lucky for me, I mean, look where I am. I get to use all of that stuff.
There's a couple of nice guitars upstairs and across the street.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of that. Just last night, for example, I was I don't know, 9 o'clock or so, I had gotten back from a walk with the dog, and I thought, geez, I kind of feel like throwing some harmonies down and trying a guitar part on a tune that I hadn't even listened to in 14 years. So I dug it out and I did that, and it was like, yeah, that felt great because it's a distraction too,
Yeah.
And you're creating something. You're leaving something in the trail, right? Yeah.
And channeling some of that anxiety into something that's tangible, that's an important thing to do. And I feel really horrible for people who don't either have a passion or a hobby right now, because a lot of people don't. They're just sitting at home watching TV or playing video games and drinking. And I can't imagine how life would be.
I can't believe how many cook shows have come up on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Everyone's a baker.
Cooking show.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, give her. That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather watch that than some of the other negative crap that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's making. There's some people are like redoing famous paintings with stuff in their house. Like,
really? That's neat.
So if you Mona Lisa or whatever painting. I just heard on the radio some woman dresses up it's a couple. They have a newborn or whatever, an infant that they dress up as all.
Sounds illegal.
Madonna with a Goche bra and all that. Like,
jeez.
Like, what? That is totally illegal.
No, not what you're thinking of.
Where is this? Where is this? I got to report this.
That's funny.
It's apparently this kid is smiling and very photogenic through all. Like, they're just like so happy. They're just. I think she was a teacher as well. She just has crafts everywhere. So, she goes, I had too much craft stuff, so it's taking up too much real estate. So they've been
Dress up the baby
in all different characters. From I think Elton John was her favorite. They did Slash, right? So, because her husband's a stand-up comic or something like that, or a sketch comedian, so he has wigs.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
So the combination of the two things. But it also it brings us to how you get through stuff. So in isolation, you find something in yourself to get through it. Whether it's some people will turn to harmful substances, but you need. This is a longer end. Like, if you think of isolation stories, people usually I'm in space for a year. Mm-hmm. So 3/4 of the way through, they make a little squirrely. I've done a cruise ship contract where 3/4 of the way through you're squirrely. That happens for every cruise ship.
Tell her what this is about, because that doesn't make any sense.
But this has no end. So nobody knows of the end. So you don't know when to go squirrely. So people are finding it at any different point. So anyway, this is
just having that patience with people and tolerance too, because everybody handles it differently, and everybody's going through their own shit. Sorry. Am I allowed to say that? Okay.
Oh, okay. You can.
Many other things have been said on here. Don't worry about that. You're good.
I'm surprised it took that long for a cuss word, actually.
Right.
Yeah. It's not bad. That was
so.
Good.
How are you guys dealing then? Like, Ed, do you have school-age children, Ed?
I do. I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. Just turned 5 yesterday. Yeah, May 3rd.
Okay.
I'm not sure when we're fucking dates here. I wanted to wish you happy birthday anyway, Frankie, but yeah. 10 and 5, and they have like their system that they have set up for them is pretty awesome. Like but it puts a ton of pressure on the parents, because it is hold the hand, and like you have now become their teacher. It's not just put your kid in front of the the Chromecast book or whatever, the Chromebook, and let them go off on their own. You guide them through that. So, and no problem with that. But Jill, she's a high school teacher, so she's doing her own thing for her, 90 students she has in the 3 grades or whatever, or more, right? So it's tricky, but what they have there for them is awesome. And we're lucky enough that we have a backyard with a tramp. So these kids get out and do that. We're in a pretty quiet neighborhood that we can go for a walk and go to the park, and not to the park, like go play. We don't do that, but go walk through the park.
Sure.
Yeah.
Keep our distance. And so that, that's helped a lot. I couldn't imagine, like, prior to having Lavender 5 years ago, we were in a condo. Could you imagine if we were in a condo that we couldn't use any of the amenities? We think about getting in. We were on the 36th floor.
Yeah, you were up there. Yeah.
Wow.
Getting on the there's no way you walk up and down the stairwell, which we have because the elevator went down. But you get a workout that lasts about a month if you got to walk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been a nightmare. So we're doing okay. It could be a lot worse on our end for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Same on this end. It's I stress because Kim works in Fortino's.
Mhm.
So whatever amount of people have passed her, I'm getting the same.
Yeah.
So that's and it's about her that I worry, and but you try to put that out of sight. I just so my big thing is I've been running again, and interestingly, because I used to run with music that I was always learning for a show, for a session, whatever. So I'm always running so that I learn it.
Mhm.
And then I started listening to other music that I didn't have to learn, which was nice. A whole bunch of Jeff Beck I went into.
Nice.
And then there was rain. I didn't feel like getting my phone out there and plug and wire myself up. So I've been running without the last 5
Nice.
months. And it's really scary because you start hearing how you breathe. And you're like, ooh. So that regulates your breathing better. But it's fascinating to hear things like the other day, because I do a run along York. Used to do the trails, can't do the trails. So now you just go York Boulevard to the RBG and turn around. It's about 10K. But the cherry blossoms are all open and all the apple blossoms. So the other day I'm running just underneath one and all you hear are the honeybees buzzing in there.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So there's thousands of them up there. So that's de-stresses me because, running the company, we're learning as we're going. Like Ed and I are both learning and it's a great distraction from, I don't have any gigs, but it's also learning a whole new skill set at a different age. And so that's fascinating, but to have the downtime, and I do have a backyard with a garden and a front garden going. So those things that gets us through it. That has to do. And again, I play, I maybe once a week I plug in the guitar and play. It's not a high priority, but I gotta, Ed and I have talked about this. We got to keep our chops up because they get a little rusty when you haven't played for a few days.
Well, I started tracking that tune for you, Amy.
Yeah.
And I started playing them. We get to the end part, that 7 part, and I'm just like, oh wow, this like to think. I had to stop for a second and think about it. Normally, you feel like, I don't know. I just kind of feel the music, but I had to go, oh my God, it's been a month.
Yeah. Actually, I'm working on that tune today, Ed. So thank you for that.
What a fantastic song. I can't wait. Really well done. I love it. I love it.
It's an oldie.
Well, you know what I love? So every time I track a song like that where the drums don't come in for, quite some time, I have to listen to it from the beginning when I'm about to track. I can't just put it, say 8 bars before. I got to get into the vibe, get into the emotion of it. And it totally set me right up to do it. Oh, good.
Great.
And my 10-year-old actually tracked it for me.
Yeah, I saw
her out of track. She did everything.
Give me her name so I can credit her when the time comes.
Okay, I will, yeah. Oh, she threw the moon with that one.
That's funny.
That's great.
Yeah. Great too.
That's awesome stuff. It's I didn't have my invitation to play on your record yet.
You played on.
I knew that was coming.
On pretty much every. You played on all the bed tracks. Yeah.
I think I remember that. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I miss those days too. And I'm not talking. Did I mention the word cruise or ship in that last sentence?
Well, I thought I heard it, but we didn't explain to Amy yet what that was all about. So, being rude.
So anytime I say the word cruise ship, and then expand it to anytime you don't want to hear someone talking about something in particular, you just. So when you're
limo window.
All the times that you've driven in a limo, right?
Yeah.
Just
this morning.
How limo drivers will engage
with
the crowd in the back, right? People will be like, "Hey, that's really great, my cousin Vinny," and all that. Well, then you have that button that you can press, and the screen goes up.
Ah, yes.
So when I was talking about Cayman Islands and Costa Maya and the cruise ship and 35, so when I got back, I got a lot of that.
So we're out camping. Frank and Kim came out camping with myself and the girls, and Maple would have been 9, I guess, at the time-ish, right? And we're at the picnic table, and he said something and did the old window thing, and so we explained it to Maple, Well, the next time I was doing something, we were playing a card game at the next day, and she did that to me.
Oh, nice.
But then she locked it. She goes, and I'm locking it.
You just took it to that whole new level. Good on her.
Whole new level.
So now we have the limo with the double lock and all kinds of stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
we see that now
That's
ever,
great.
forever. There's all the little things. These are things that come from from road life. There's,
Yeah.
there's these different phrases we use on stage because you can hear them. We use the word Delta. Why it happened is too long of a story to get into, but it was a funny thing, but it cuts it. The first time I used it on the stage, I think I was going to hear Ed start counting a song, and I went, da, da, and you could, when you yell that out loud enough, the audience doesn't hear it, but he can hear the percussiveness of it and the frequency of it. So he's like looking at me right away because I got my arm up and I'm not ready for something, either tuning or whatever. Whatever's going on, or I got to switch a guitar. So you'll hear me yell that. And then he usually responds with a da, 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 which means he's heard it. so there's
I respond with this.
But some of the guys that depends who the artists are on stage with us, they may not know this. What were you guys saying?
Yeah.
So it's the thing you develop. It's a language on stage.
Absolutely.
That you need sometimes to get through gear going down on you, because you've used it a few times. I think your kick pedal went flying off or something like that.
All sorts of happen back there. There's a lot going on back there. Too much to mention. I'll bet you complain about it during the set break or the intermission.
Well, I hope that we can all get back to it. Playing live, seeing you guys in the studio before 2021 would be great.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think there's going to be I was toying with the idea anyways for 2021 of looking back to redo a thing I did for Nelson Mandela, on his, I think it was the day he was released from prison. I was doing it in February, and I always got screwed up, and I always end up booking Super Bowl Sunday. Not looking at
Not good.
Since the Bills lost 4 in a row, I lost my interest in the NFL as a Bills fan. So I would always forget. I always think it was the January Sunday, not sometimes it sneaks into February. And the 2 times I did it, Super Bowl. So I may want to do that, but with obviously some other, so if we do get the green light to get going in January, that might be a first event. That'll be some kind of charitable event and do that kind of music. But
Frankie, did you play at the St. Hollywood much over the years?
I did on and off. Yeah. I just saw the news that shut down, or not. He sold it. The building sold. So the bar's done. So 11 years, that's a pretty good run for a live music venue. That's all they were, every 7 days a week.
Recently in Toronto, 2 very awesome music venues shut down as well. The Hideout.
The Hideout's done.
Which was a huge one in Toronto, and the Underground Garage.
Yeah. And I've heard the more sort of indie scene, alt country thing, the Relish, I think, is struggling as well.
Everybody.
That's a new one though.
But
maybe a year or 2 tops, right?
Oh, Relish is 10 years or something like that. They've been.
Where are they located?
Oh, I can't think of the location now. Was it
in Toronto,
Dundas West or something like that, or
in Toronto?
In Toronto, yeah. More of a singer-songwriter open things, but really the great songwriters coming out of there.
Right. What a shame.
So
it is.
This portion of the program, Amy, Stump the RD department.
Yes.
Do you have any coffee knowledge, or do you have any coffee questions?
All of them, because I know nothing at all. I know Juan Valdez is the only thing I know about coffee.
Juan Valdez.
Yes, with the donkey.
Yeah. That's all I know.
Comes into your kitchen window all creepy.
I love cocoa beans.
Yeah. I don't know. What can you tell me?
What are you drinking?
What can you tell me about coffee?
Wow.
It's good. You should buy ours.
I do know that.
And well, holy man, there's a lot of regions that grow coffee, right?
Do you know? Let's start with the So there are a lot of regions. Let's do that first. Let's do the region thing. So you have. It's all usually it's tropical, just because of the conditions for growing, and Arabica beans are the ones that are used for single origin, and for all the specialty coffees. It's definitely going to be Arabica beans. Some of the cheaper coffees will mix in Robusta beans. They're more robust, so they can survive different climates, but flavor-wise, they're not as good. Higher elevations with that heat, so they, if you have a 2,000 meters, you want it to be still warm. Otherwise,
Mhm.
it'll freeze off. The bean just won't grow there. So the region would be.
Did you know that? They're a fruit. They start out, they actually look like a little cherry.
Yeah.
And inside that cherry is the green bean.
Mhm.
I had heard that somewhere before, but I can't remember where.
Right.
So they grow in, so like we have ours are like, so Mexico, Central America, and northern parts of South America, you'll have that. Then you get into African area, Kenya, Ethiopia, and then Indonesia and all that, like the Sumatra beans and all that. So in those regions, you have the coffee growing. So it's very much, and with the changes in climate, some of the growing regions aren't having during the harvest time, not harvest, during the as it's ripening, they need 5 sort of perfect days of this kind of climate, and that's being affected. Sometimes they're not getting that. So there's a lot.
That's if they're laying it out to dry
Even sometimes in the growing part of it, yeah. There's all kinds of different, and then when they're laying out to dry, they need perfect weather. But so that's where they grow. And I was gonna. Do you know anything about the different roast profile? Like if you're going from what a light.
How about processing it, Frank?
Oh.
Like there's 2 options to process it, right? So you have a washing, and then like just lay it out to dry and let it like the fruit kind of just falls off of the bean, right?
Yeah.
How long does that take?
That's about a 5-day process, and some will do it for a longer time. Some will do partially washed, and they change the profile flavor of the green bean, which then will affect how it's roasted. So sometimes, depending what your roast is going to be, you want a washed bean versus a non-washed bean. They all just have different roast profiles. So when you get a roaster that really knows it, you want to trust that. Like they will say, well, let's try this thing. Let's try this thing. So when we were sampling all the different coffee we wanted for our company, we went through all those, the different bean roasted, a washed one versus a unwashed one at all 3 roast profile levels, and to find the right one, because they all pop out a different, I didn't think those snob notes mattered, that you see on wines or on coffee beans. But it says, a hint of blueberry, and then I'm like, really? But we started actually getting into it, and you taste these things as you get in there.
Yeah.
So a quick, easiest way to think of it is as you're going from light, medium to dark, think fruit, nut, caramel, chocolate, and that's the sort of that's your flavor profile. We won't even say caramel; we just say chocolate.
If you think about say like the regions that coffee grows, and then the options you have of processing it, and then on the other side of it, once processed and it's green bean, then the different roasting profiles. There's a lot of elements, but not that many. You know what I mean? Like really, like if you think about it, there's only so many combinations of bean, process, and roast profiles.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot to dabble with, but it's not like it's as many as you think.
And then you can do blends. So then you take a light
blends,
roast
right,
with a dark roast and you blend them. It's not by choice, but we have single origin. So it's one bean from one place, roasted one way, no blending of the bean roasted a different way or from a different location. So that just happened to be how we decided. We went through a long, like on the road, we were trying them in the hotel rooms. And then we selected, I think, 4 for each roast. And then we tested them at home separately and said, do this with your
boxes of coffee.
And then we wrote down, and then when we got together, we said, what's your top 4? And ours matched. It was like, we had gone down to like, I think 8 and then down to the 4. And then we said, the top 4 are actual from 1, 2, 3, 4. We had the exact same across all 4.
Wow.
Roasts.
Yeah.
So that convinced us that we picked the right beans, the right roasts to go into the bag. So, and that's where we are. back to Mornin Buzz Coffee. We're back.
And hello.
Scotch. I love. Oh, we're on air. Okay, never mind. Oh, hold on. Wait.
What? Oh, we were doing the cheers.
Like in tandem. Oh, well, yeah, we can do the cheers. Are you over here?
No, I'm over here.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, you got to come the other way.
Cheers. Well, yeah, but then it won't look like we're cheersing here down here. Cheers. Frank, will you just get on board with us here?
Doesn't look right to me here. Fine. All right.
Amy, what's next for you? Like, I mean, okay, well, we don't know. I know we don't know, but let's say this gets back to normal.
Yep.
Or not, you know? Is there, we're all reinventing ourselves, we're all retooling. Is there something that's next for you, like that we can?
Well, I hope that we can pull out of this whole thing, and I know it's going to take a while to get sort of back to the way things were. And I hope they don't get back to the way things were entirely, to be honest with you. You know, I think that it's time for a little bit of a reset on a lot of issues. But I really hope that, you know, we've been here, the studio's been here for 44 years. I hope we've got another 44 in us. So as long as it's kicking around, I'd like to be calling it home. So hopefully that can continue. And if not, then who knows? Maybe I can get paid to hunt fossils and rocks with my dog. I don't know.
Well, the studio has gone through already a major turmoil, right? With the
I keep joking with Bob Deutsch, who, you know, you guys know him. He started the place in the 70s with the Lanois brothers. You know, as cliche as it sounds, the studio really is like a cat. Like it should have gone under years ago with so many issues that have happened over the years, like mostly beyond anybody's control. And then of course, actually 2 years ago last week is when we just about burned down, and we're still cleaning up from that. Like they just torn down the houses next door. And well, Frank, you saw just earlier today, you stopped by with some, yeah, it's scary stuff. So I think that we've got
problem. You have visitors.
We do have some visitors. Yeah, we won't go there. But yeah, I think that we're relentless and we're resilient, and I hope that we can carry that on for a lot longer yet. So
yeah. Well,
yeah. It's great having you in the wheelhouse and at the helm. We all know of. Here's the sound when Amy's at the board, and you're set to do the next thing. It was boom. You're ready to go again, and she's already edited out all kinds of bad stuff has already been moved.
That's right.
Because she knows that's garbage. You know, it's the speed. It's so refreshing because everything it works. And it works smoothly in there. And like anywhere, they can have little gremlins that happen. Yeah. Every studio has them, but it's minimized with having you at the helm in there. Because I've worked in the same environment with different people at the helm when they were in charge because they're producing and stuff like that. And it's a different vibe, you know. So hope to have you there for another 44 years, you know.
Well, thank you. Boy, how old will we be in 44 years?
I was gonna say, don't you want to not work some point in your life?
Well, I think, you know, you guys could probably relate to this, though. The beautiful thing about music is we don't have to retire. We can keep doing it for as long as we possibly can if we have our hands and if we have our ears. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm surrounded by guys that have been doing this a heck of a lot longer than I've even been alive for the most part. And it's amazing to me because I think it breathes a lot of youth into people at the same time. I mean, you could go the other way with it, that's for sure. We all know people who have you know, aged much quicker than they should have, but music has a real medicinal aspect to it. So of course it's stressful sometimes and challenging, but we're all very fortunate that we get to do it and actually pay our bills with a passion. Like how freaking great is that, you know? Yeah,
it's like music. Easy. The difficulty sometimes is like when you're doing more extended travel, like there's, you know, it's sometimes the story and the remembering of it afterwards. Because there's moments when you're doing it, you can hate it. Like you can, you know, you're sleeping in your car, close to a bed, and nothing's working right in the crowded train station. But what you see and what you experience, especially after the fact, when you can digest it, it's worth everything. I mean, I know Ed lived in Asia for 3 years. Same idea. You're always experiencing. So it's getting through it sometimes is part of the learning and part of the experience and the joy. Same with doing music is, I think the same way. You know, you could be in a session where it's great, and you get it down, and then you're struggling through a section. But once you get that piece,
Mm-hmm.
it feels so good to have gotten that out of you. That's permanent now. That's forever.
Well, when you think about, our bad days at the office, don't compare to the general populace's bad day at the office, and of course music is difficult and hard, and it's a lot of it is psychology, and it's draining. And I've often joked that this place is not a building to me anymore. It's part of my DNA, and I sweat it and I bleed it, and it's hard, but it's incredible at the same time. So I feel very fortunate to be here. And of course, I've met so many great people through this place, and you guys aren't included in that, by the way. But,
and
touche.
Well log it. you got the window. You got the limo window.
The connections that you make through music, and part of this whole COVID thing, what it's really shown me is when you can't be sitting next to someone or having people out on the live floor, I really miss that nonverbal, where you can just tell from a person's face whether they're digging your headphone mix, or if the tempo is correct, or if they're just not happy with the way things are going. So now, just in doing mobile work for people, like you're having to play things over the internet, and having that you have to have verbal conversations with it, where with music a lot of times there's no verbal communication involved. It's all body and ether and energy, and I'm missing that big time.
And when it's right, when a groove sits and you're playing, everybody on stage just feels that. There's no, you don't have to talk about it. You don't
have to talk about it. No.
Yeah.
Well, I miss that, and I look forward to that again. That's for sure. So.
Well, Amy, we'll hopefully we're all going to get back to that again. So it's been a pleasure having you on Coffee Hang.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys, and congrats again.
It's awesome. I'm glad I was like, I got to get that to her. So popped it by this morning so you'd have some coffee.
Thank you.
And we will see you as soon as we can in the studio and make some noise and bang some drums and scream some guitars and play whale music. You and I will do some whale music,
There you go.
That'd be great.
You are an extremely kind human being, and it's been a pleasure to work with you all the times that I've got a chance to work with you. Thanks for just being you, and thanks for being there, and keep kicking ass.
Thank you. You guys too.
All right. So, folks, this has been another episode of Coffee Hang with Ed and Frank.
I love that cup.
Today's special guest was Amy King from Grand Avenue Studios in Hamilton, Ontario. Thank you very much again, Amy, and we will see you folks next week.
Bye, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Amy King from Grand Avenue Studio in Hamilton. That was an awesome interview. She's cool.
Next week, tune in. We got Tom Lewis. Fantastic bass player, fantastic human being, and he's also the owner of
GroovePad, a great company that makes. I don't know if you knew this, Frank, but they make tortilla shells. Where's that music, Frank? Do 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 do.
Oh, we don't have copyright for that. There you go.
So, Tom Lewis is a bass player extraordinaire. He plays with Glass Tiger. He plays with Tom Cochran. He plays with, the list goes on, right? He played with Honeymoon Suite, Tom Barlow, you name it. He's a bass player. Let me get that clear. That also makes a practice pad called GroovePad. And like I said, it also works as a soft shell taco. Or
that is bad in that color.
Don't eat it. Don't eat it. So that's who we got next week, eh, Frankie boy?
That's right. So tune in next Friday, 7 p.m. We'll be right here. Same space, same channel.
Same bad place, same bad time. Oh!